Hi, I'm back to talk about Israel, the cornerstone nation of all nations. I'm just going to retrack the last video. I went from Genesis 27 from 1 to 13. That's when Rebecca told Jacob about the blessing, and then in Genesis 27 from 19 to 40, Rebecca made the food for Isaac, so that Jacob can go in to take it to his father, so he can receive the blessing. And in that time, he received the blessing, and then Esau came back with the food and realized that he's been tricked out from his blessing, and so Esau got really angry that Jacob took his blessing, and he threatened that he's going to kill his brother Jacob. So Isaac and Rebecca, the parents, told Jacob to leave and go to Rebecca's family's house. And that was in Genesis 28 to 1:5. And then from Genesis 28, 11 to 20, while Jacob was travelling, he stopped at a place, and he was lying down and had a dream where he saw stairways from heaven to earth, and he saw angels ascending and descending. And that's when God spoke to him and told him about this land that is going to come to him and his descendants, and that his descendants be as numerous as the star of the sky. And so when Jacob woke up, he just felt, oh, this is the place of God. So he made an offering there and made a covenant to God, saying that if you would look after me, if you would feed me, if you would put clothes on my back, then I would continue to worship you. So now I'm going to go from Genesis 29, and I'm going to start from 4 to chapter 35. In this chapter, it will give you the basis of how Israel began with being numerous. So this chapter is going to be quite long. So from Genesis 29, from verse 4. So Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where are you from?" And they said, "We are from Haran." So he said to them, "Do you know Laban, the grandson of Noah, Abraham's brother?" And they replied, "We know him." And he asked them, "Is it well with him?" And they said, "He is doing well. Look, here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." Jacob said, "Look, the sun is still high overhead. It is a long time before the flocks need to be gathered in the folds for the night. Water the sheep and go and return them to the pastures." But they said, "We cannot leave until all the flocks are gathered together and the shepherds roll the stones from the mouth of the well. Then we will water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. When Jacob saw his cousin Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and Laban's sheep, he came up and rolled the stone away from the mouth of the well and watered the flock of Laban, his uncle. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and greetingly raised his voice and wept. Jacob told Rachel he was father's relative, Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. When Laban heard of the arrival of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him and embraced and kissed him and brought him to his house. Then he told Laban all these things. Then Laban said to him, "You are my bone and my flesh," and Jacob stayed with him a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Just because you are my relative, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me what your wages should be." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, "I will serve you as a hard worker for 7 years in return for the privilege of marrying Rachel, your younger daughter." Laban said, "It's better that I give her in marriage to you than give her to another man. Stay and work with me." So Jacob served Laban for 7 years for the right to marry Rachel, but they seemed like only a few days to him because of his love for her. Finally, Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife for my time of service completed, so that I may take her to me as my wife." So Laban gathered together all the men of the place and prepared a wedding feast with wine. But in the evening he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob, and Jacob went in to consummate the marriage with her. Laban also gave Zebulun his maid to his daughter Leah as a maid. But in the morning when Jacob woke, it was Leah who was with him, and he said to Laban, "What is this that you have done to me? Did I not work for you 7 years? For Rachel, why have you deceived and betrayed me like this?" But Laban only said, "It is not the tradition here to give your younger daughter in marriage before the older. Finish the week of the wedding feast for Leah, then we will give you Rachel also, and in return you shall work for me 7 more years." So Jacob complied and fulfilled Leah's week for celebration. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as his second wife. Laban also gave Bilhah his maid to his daughter Rachel as a maid. So Jacob consummated his marriage and lived with Rachel as his wife, and loved Rachel more than Leah, and served with Laban for another 7 years. Now, when the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he made her able to bear children, but Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and gave birth to a son, named him Reuben. "See a son," for she said, "because the Lord has seen my humiliation and suffering. Now my husband will love me, since I've given him a son." Then she conceived again and gave birth to a son, and said, "Because the son heard that I'm unloved, he has given me this son also." So she named him Simeon. God hears. She conceived again and gave birth to a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will become attached to me as a companion, for I have given him 3 sons." Therefore he was named Levi. Again she conceived and gave birth to a 4th son, and she said, "Now I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then 4 times she stopped bearing children. So that is the beginning, how the tribe of Israel started. So now I'm going to continue from Genesis 30, and I'm going to go from verse 1 to 22. So when Rachel saw that she conceived no children for Jacob, she envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children or else I die." Then Jacob became furious with Rachel and said, "Am I in the place of God, who has denied you children?" She said, "Here, take my maiden Bilhah and go into her. When baby comes, she shall deliver it, while sitting on my knees, so that by her I may also have children to count as my own." So she gave him Bilhah her maid as her second wife, and Jacob went into her. Bilhah conceived and gave birth to a son for Jacob. Then Rachel said, "God has judged and vindicated me, and has heard my plea, and has given me a son through my maid." So she named him Dan. He judged. Bilhah's Rachel's maid conceived again and gave birth to a second son for Jacob. So Rachel said, "With mighty wrestling in prayer to God, I have struggled with my sister and have prevailed." So she named him Naphtali, my wrestling. When Leah saw that she stopped bearing children, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her to Jacob as a second wife. Zilpah, Leah's maid, gave birth to a son for Jacob. Then Leah said, "How fortunate!" So she named him Gad, good fortune. Zilpah's Leah's maid gave birth to a second son for Jacob. Then Leah said, "I'm happy, for women will call me happy." So she named him Asher, happy. Now at the time of wheat harvest, Reuben, the eldest child, went and found some mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son mandrakes." But Leah answered, "Is it a small thing that you have taken my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrake also?" So Rachel said, "Jacob shall sleep with you tonight in exchange for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came in from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must sleep with me tonight, for I have in fact hired you with my son's mandrakes. So she slept with her that night. God listened and answered the prayer of Leah, and she conceived and gave birth to a fifth son for Jacob. Then Leah said, God has given me my reward, because I have given my maid to my husband. So she named him Ezekiah. Leah conceived again and gave birth to a sixth son for Jacob. Then Leah said, God has endowed me with a good marriage gift for my husband. Now he will live with me, regarding me with honor as his wife, because I given birth to a sixth son. So she named him Zebulun. Afterwards she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered the prayers of Rachel, and God thought of her and opened her womb so that she would conceive. So she conceived and gave birth to a son, and she said, God has taken away my disgrace and my humiliation. She named him Joseph. May he add, and said, may the Lord add to me another son. So from there, I'm going to just jump to the next verse, 27. Now, when Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me away that I may go to my own place and to my own country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I reserved you, and let me go, for you know that the work which I have done for you. So, as you can see, that's the beginning of Israel. When Jacob went to his his mother's family, he married Leah, Rebecca, the two maids, and that was the beginning of the tribe of Israel. There's one more that tried to come out, and one more son. So we'll come back to that next time. God bless. Bye.